Sometimes a single event can just reshape the entire world in a matter of hours. And today we're going to break down the anatomy of one of those moments, the targeted killing of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
So let's set the scene. The date is February 28th, 2026. Just as dawn is breaking over Tehran, a massive, preemptive strike hits the city. Sirens are wailing, and honestly, the whole world is holding its breath. The target? The absolute heart of the Iranian regime. And then, just hours later, it's confirmed. Iranian state media makes this absolutely stunning announcement. The 86-year-old supreme leader, a man who's ruled for decades, has been killed. Or, as they put it to their own people, he was martyred while on duty in his Tehran compound. The immediate aftermath is, well, it's pure chaos. The first figures start trickling in from the Red Crescent, and they're talking about more than 200 deaths. And that's just the beginning, just a hint of the true scale of what just happened. And make no mistake, this was never about just one man. At least 7 other senior officials were also killed in these strikes. We're talking the defense minister, the commander of the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This was a full-on decapitation strike. The goal was to cripple the entire leadership structure. So what was Iran's response? Well, it was swift and it was widespread. The regime just unleashed a volley of strikes all across the Middle East, hitting at least 27 U.S. military bases in several different countries. A regional war wasn't a threat anymore. It was now a reality.
Okay, so how on earth did it come to this? An event this shocking doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It was actually the final explosive chapter of a long, very methodical, multi-year strategy that was built piece by piece over time. To really get it, you've got to rewind the clock a bit to see how this stage was set. The big turning point was the Hamas attack back in October 2023. From there, Israel and the U.S. started systematically taking apart Iran's outer defenses, its proxy network. Then, in mid-2025, came direct strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. And all the while, huge protests were breaking out inside Iran, crippling the regime from within. So by the time U.S. leadership was briefed, all the pieces were already in place for the final move.
The strategy itself had a code name, Operation Epic Fury, and it was basically a 5-phase playbook. Step 1, take out the proxies. Step 2, neutralize their nuclear deterrent. Step 3, and this is so crucial, spend months gathering non-stop intelligence to track every move the leadership made. Step 4, the simultaneous strike, designed to create maximum chaos. And finally, Step 5, get the message out immediately, calling on the Iranian people to rise up and finish the job.
So as you can imagine, an operation this big sent tremors all across the globe. It just exposed all the deep political fault lines that define our world today. The reactions were immediate and, wow, they could not have been more polarized. From the United States, you had President Donald Trump, who framed the whole thing as a huge win for freedom. He called it the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. But that view was definitely not shared by everyone, not even back home. Senator Bernie Sanders immediately fired back, and he condemned what he called an illegal, premeditated, and unconstitutional war. So yeah, deep divisions right there in American politics. Meanwhile, a key ally in the region, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, totally echoed Trump's message. He called it a once-in-a-generation opportunity and directly urged the Iranian people to complete the task of overthrowing the regime. And what about inside Iran? Well, the guy newly put in charge of the crisis, Ali Larijani, he issued this defiant vow of revenge. He promised that Iran's military would deliver an unforgettable lesson to the, quote, hellish international oppressors. And then you have Moscow. Reinforcing their alliance with Tehran, Russian President Vladimir Putin gave a really sharp condemnation, calling the killing a cynical murder that violated all standards of human morality and international law. So, with the supreme leader gone and the world basically choosing sides, the most important and maybe the most dangerous questions started to emerge from all that rubble. What comes next? I mean, really, what happens now? The truth is, the strike just plunged an already volatile nation into the state of profound uncertainty. It created a power vacuum unlike anything the Islamic Republic has ever seen in its history. Right now, Iran is facing a massive succession crisis because its entire command structure is just shattered. Now, they've appointed a new commander to the IRGC, but reports are suggesting the missile retaliation has become totally chaotic, with junior officers basically firing at will.
And hanging over all of this is the terrifying risk of Iran's nuclear material. What happens to it if the regime completely collapses? And all of this, it really brings us to the core strategic gamble here. The stated goal, right, was to dismantle a repressive state. But the reality on the ground is that killing one man, even a supreme leader, is not at all the same thing as dismantling the entire brutal regime that he built.
This point was captured perfectly by the only Iranian American in the U.S. Congress, Representative Yasemin Ansari. She said, removing one man does not dismantle a brutal regime. The strike might have ended a long and brutal reign, but it leaves the world with a much, much harder question. Does this pave the way for a new Iran, or does it just unleash a new, more unpredictable kind of chaos?